Good evening. Get the jab or risk losing your job. That's the ultimatum facing hundreds of thousands of essential workers tonight. Daniel Andrews has given them 2 weeks to get their first shot, scrambling to curb the spread of Melbourne's Delta outbreak. State political reporter Mark Santomartino.
Coercion is not consent, but that won't matter for authorised workers if they want to keep their job.
They're not about stopping people going to work. They're about making sure that we can open up.
Off the back of record case numbers, Daniel Andrews is extending the vaccine mandate that already applies to aged care, healthcare and construction workers to the 1.2 million Victorians that cannot work from home, who must have 1 dose by October 15, 2 weeks from today.
No one's exempt from the Public Health and Wellbeing Act, because no one's exempt from getting this virus.
This is decision-making on the run. I can't believe that advice has changed in a day. Changed in 24 hours.
After a mandate sparked the riot outside the CFMEU last week, teachers and nurses were among this protest at Geelong today.
We came to Australia to get away from segregation, to get away from people being discriminated against.
A message snuffed out at Moonee Ponds, Knox and Mordialloc by police.
I'm not taking lectures on freedom from people who will hold all of us back.
This is an absolute overreach by the Victorian government. It's totally against the national plan.
We've had Qantas and Virgin and SPC before that. So there is a movement.
More than 80% of Victorians over 16 have already received 1 dose, 50% 2. The mandate will do little to speed up our path to freedom outlined in the national plan.
My policy has always been that this is not a compulsory vaccination program.
Well, then they won't be going to work.
New South Wales made vaccines mandatory in August for essential workers in a dozen hotspots. But come December 1st, the unvaccinated will share in the same freedoms, leniency to which Daniel Andrews will not commit in Victoria.
The notion that all these rules come off at 90% single dose, for instance, or even 90% double dose, no.
74% of the almost 400 Victorians in hospital are not vaccinated. Sadly, another 3 have died, all from Melbourne's north, which accounts for the lion's share of today's 1,143 cases. 62 are in regional Victoria.
Moorabool currently has 32 active cases of COVID, including 6 new cases today.
It is unavoidable that a lockdown must be applied.
But knowing 7 days can quickly turn into months, Bacchus Marsh mum Victoria fast-tracked Ava's 13th birthday lunch.
It's pretty devastating for me because had all this stuff planned. Didn't get a birthday last year and she was a bit devastated. And I said, pick yourself up off the floor. This is now part of being an adult.
Now, Mark, we're edging towards the finish line. Why a mandate now?
Make no mistake, Pete, this is short-term thinking designed to get us through this outbreak and these rising case numbers. Obviously, yesterday's record-breaking spike shocked Victorians, but it's clearly also spooked the government and its health department. At any other time, we'd be waving goodbye to freedoms outdoors like golf and tennis and hello to tougher restrictions. That's not an option now after so many months in lockdown and with enough vaccine supply arriving this month to inoculate every single eligible Victorian. The government is banking on that, not only getting us out of lockdown, but digging us out of this outbreak, Pete.
OK, thank you, Mark Santomartino.
And that breaking news on that major announcement for schools in California. Governor Newsom announcing a new COVID vaccine requirement for all eligible students. The new statewide rule is the first of its kind in the country. Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda is live with all the details.
Hi, Ellen. Well, yes, Governor Gavin Newsom says California already has the lowest COVID case rate in the country, and that's because the state has administered more than 50 million doses of the vaccine, and at least 84% of Californians have received at least 1 dose. Well, now he says he's turning to schools to make sure that we're careful in the winter, as we also have to deal with the flu season. The governor said he wants all students to be in class for in-person instruction. So today he announced the first K-12 mandate in the country. Now, he was at a school in San Francisco as he announced the new rules to make vaccinating public and private school children for COVID-19 a requirement, much like other vaccines are now required, including measles, mumps, polio, and others. Now, right now, only those who are 16 and older are eligible to get vaccinated, but the governor also wants all staff as well in K-12 schools to be vaccinated.
Once the FDA approves the vaccination in different cohorts, starting with 12 and above, grades 7 to 12, we will begin to apply that requirement in the next term.
Travelers could be looking at new COVID restrictions as we embark on the holiday season. It's one of several COVID-related updates for the airline industry. ABC 7 News reporter Melanie Woodrow has the story.
With the Thanksgiving holiday just around the corner and one of the busiest times to fly, California Senator Dianne Feinstein tweeted, quote, "We can't allow upcoming holiday air travel to contribute to another surge in COVID cases. Today, I introduced legislation requiring passengers on domestic flights to be vaccinated, test negative, or be fully recovered from a previous COVID illness." Willis Orlando is a flight expert at Scott's Cheap Flights.
If it were to become law, it really would just be kind of adding restrictions in the U.S. that already exist elsewhere in the world and that have been working pretty well to contain COVID. I really don't see any way where it would be a big problem, although passengers may be a little bit upset based on what we've seen in the past in the U.S.
It's not just travelers who are impacted. United Airlines announced it is letting go close to 600 employees who chose not to comply with the company's vaccine requirement.
Airlines are doing what they can to protect not only themselves and their passengers, but also their reputations.
Albert Shea is founder and CEO of Foxtrot Dash, a travel company that encourages smart point spending.
I actually feel the most safe flying internationally.
Shea, an avid traveler, recently returned to the Bay Area.
I empathize with the flight attendants on board. She had to enforce masks at least a dozen times, kind of walking up and down the aisle.
Both Shea and Orlando expect some passengers will continue to resist COVID travel restrictions, including wearing masks, with the most extreme being fights with flight attendants.
You're choosing to do something that's optional. You don't have to get on that plane. If you're going to get on that plane, follow the airline's rules, and remember, give the flight attendants a little bit of grace. They are working very, very hard right now.
Anything that we can do to continue to encourage travel in the most comfortable and safe way, I think, is really important for everybody.
New potential travel guidelines ahead of what has traditionally been the busiest travel season of the year. Melanie Woodrow, ABC 7 News.
This Constitution is nothing but a license for oil companies and foreign interests to destroy my beloved Wadiya. Wadiya will remain a dictatorship. Woo! Oh, be quiet. Why are you guys so anti-dictators? Imagine if America was a dictatorship. You could let 1% of the people have all the nation's wealth. You could help your rich friends get richer by cutting their taxes and bailing them out when they gamble and lose. You could ignore the needs of the poor for healthcare and education. Your media would appear free, but would secretly be controlled by one person and his family. You could wiretap phones. You could torture foreign prisoners. You could have rigged elections. You could lie about why you go to war. You could fill your prisons with one particular racial group, and no one would complain. You could use the media to scare the people into supporting policies that are against their interests. I know this is hard for you Americans to imagine, but please try.
You will never see it coming. You think I'm joking?
And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever.